So, today we're doing the scallop millefeuille. Millefeuille is classical French for 1,000 layers. That comes from the bake shops when the guys would take a laminate dough. You get your flour, you get your water, you mix it together. That's called a da trump. I don't have an accent, but that's how they say. So you mix your day trump together, and then you put fat in the middle. It's usually butter, and you enclose it, roll it. That's a fold, I'm sorry. So when you fold it a couple of times, roll, fold it a couple times, roll, you get all these layers. All those layers are what give you the flake and the croissant, some of those danishes, or a puff pastry, or pâte fouettée if we got any renegade bakers in here that didn't raise their hand when I asked it for help. So the scallop millefeuille is going to be scallop 1,000 layers, only we're not going to do 1,000, we're just going to do a couple. Do you know what a scallop is? What's a scallop? It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. A scallop is a shellfish, as I'm sure Christy knows. But there's a little cooler thing about a scallop. Did you know it swims? Scallop swims. It's the adductor muscle of a bivalve mollusk. It swims. That's why you get that big, juicy, meaty muscle inside of a scallop. Every clam, every mussel, every oyster has essentially a scallop in it, but it's only the one that swims that gives us that big, beautiful, juicy, white meat, and that's what we're going to use today for this one. These are Hokkaido scallops. Hokkaido's somewhere in Japan. I looked it up one time on a map. I can't remember now. So we're going to take those scallops and we're going to slice them and then layer it in with the sweet potato. DJ's went ahead and done all that with us, or for us, excuse me. This is just a standard sweet potato. You see it at the market. You've seen these before, Christy. They look like this. We're just going to take this and peel it with a peeler. Ever so gently. There is no rush. We got 2 people helping. DJ's going to help too. Nice and easy. We're going to take this sweet potato after it's peeled and slice it thin. That's going to be one of our 1,000 layers inside. Slow down, slow down. DJ, mandolin. These Japanese hand slicers, you could pick these up for about 60 bucks. Does anyone have one of these? You got one? Yeah, for everything. Save yourself the headache. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so after Christy shaves that, we're going to go ahead and slice it thin. Once it's sliced thin, it goes inside this poaching solution here. You should see it on your recipe card. Champagne vinegar, water, sugar, pinch of salt. If you don't have champagne vinegar, you can use like a white balsamic. I wouldn't use a distilled white. That's going to be too offensive. You need to put water in it if you're going to do that, like a 3-to-1 ratio of champagne to water. But at all of your higher-end grocers, I bet even, can I say Walmart? I don't know if I'm allowed to say people's names. I bet even Walmart has a champagne vin. So you should be able to find that. Water, you got it. Sugar, I'm sure. Pinch of salt, you know what that is. Well, I had someone ask one time what a pinch of salt is. Everyone can imagine taking their fingers and grabbing some salt. What's a pinch? In between the 2 fingers, correct. Apparently a pinch is 3 fingers is a production pinch. When you apply at the Waldorf, you need to. So, okay, so we will have our champagne vinegar. I already had it measured out. You can see the ratio is so simple, 1, 1, and 1. So it doesn't have to be a cup, a cup, a cup. It's whatever vessel you measure one, measure the other one in it, 1, 1, 1. There you go. Bring it to a boil. Once it's bubbling, we're going to go ahead and put the sweet potato inside of it. I'd rather do a bit more talking and asking questions than actual execution on this. Nice event like this, I'm sure most of you guys are doing plenty of cooking. You know what it means to bring something to a boil. You know what it means to put it in until it's tender. We got these little things we use called cake testers. It saves you the headache of having to fish something out, put it on the board, grab a knife, and stab it to see how soft it is. So get yourself a cake tester or a paper clip, safety pin, whatever you want, or whatever you want, whatever you like. I like these. Beautiful. Thin would be, you're going to jinx me, don't say that. Okay. You said it. Let's go. Fingers off, stay away from that. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I've never really thought about just what you need to do when you do this. I'm always in such a rush. Yeah, I bet palm flat, good pressure on this, and some sort of grip nowhere near the blade. So Thank you, Christy. Okay, beautiful. Go away on it. Just keep going. Rack away on it. Okay, I see you right now when you're pulling it back, you're not pulling it all the way back to the front, so you're not going to give us a clean, long slice. I'm going to give these to DJ. He's going to say 500, bro. This should be 250. So full. There you go. Perfect. That's more than enough. We're just giving them the verbal here. So if you can grab these, we're going to picture water boiling, nice steam coming out, 212 degrees. We're going to drop our sweet potato in here. You guys can see the thickness of this, can't you? What is that, a millimeter? About a millimeter, nothing crazy. We'll pass it all around at the end, and you can check it out. It should bend. Good one, shouldn't snap. So, yeah, we're using our imagination. Nice vapor coming out of this, beautiful. It goes in. This is going to take about 30 seconds. That's it, honestly. I mean, it's this thin. If it's thicker, it's longer, but we're not going to wonder. We got a little cake tester. Christy, you're going to grab this and stab it through there and lie to them and tell them it's tender, and it went right through. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay. So once this is ready, hopefully you have one of these contraptions. It'll make straining a lot easier. If not, just fish it out with your tongs. When you go to scoop it out with your tongs or a spatula and it starts falling apart, it's overcooked. So this is affordable. You can start over, peel another one, and do it again. How many times are you going to make this, and who are you going to make it for? I bet it's going to be something special. Do it right. So if you go to fish it out and it's falling apart, just start over, do it again. It needs to have, I mean, you guys will feel it. It needs to have some texture to it. I want to say toothsome or al dente or something. I don't know the right word, but you need to be able to feel it with this. So once our sweet potato is out of the water, fully cooked, and ready to go, we would be assembling it as follows. We would get our scallops, which we now know what they are, the adductor muscle of a bivalve mollusk, the one that swims. No, you right here. DJ, scallop.
Scallop right here, chef. Right here, chef.
When you purchase these, they have sometimes what's called a foot on them. You'll be able to see it right away. The color's different, the texture's different, and we always clean them off. And I remember cleaning them and thinking, this is ridiculous. It's fine. And I've eaten them before, and they are fine. They're just a different texture of this. So if you were doing a dinner party, God, I hope nobody tells another chef this, but if you were doing a dinner party for, I don't know, 20 people, and you ended up with 20 scallop feet, you could throw it in a Roboku or a blender with a little bit of cream and make like a mousse out of it. Because the flavor is fine, it's just the texture, especially once you apply heat to it. Like any protein, once you apply heat, it's going to start to firm up. But with mechanical agitation, it doesn't matter if it firms up. It's broken down so much, it can't. I'm sorry? No. I need another volunteer. Get up here. Gently. Oh, with regards to knives, everyone I'm sure has a beautiful knife at home. Are we holding it right? We're sure we're doing it. We're sure we're holding a knife right? How do we hold a knife? How do you hold a knife? Don't say in your hand. I know you're going to. It needs to lay across your index finger. Right there. You see that gnarly callus? Anybody that tells you they're in the kitchen, they better have that on their finger. They're in the office, not the kitchen. So, right there. You see it right there? The knife needs to lay across that, and you choke up on it because we're worried about the blade, not the handle. This is like, I don't know what that is, but yeah. Lay it across your finger, just like that. Perfect. I said I take this serious. I do. I know people pay lessons to have, like, holy shit, you do. I got a ringer up here. She's behind me going, if you use the scallop foot, you're stupid. They can use it. So I think sometimes when these people get these golf lessons and stuff, and you got the instructor going, stand like this. How often do you golf? Like one weekend every other year? But I bet you stand in front of a cutting board, hopefully every single day making dinner for about an hour. So when you stand in front of it, I was told 20 years ago when I got in the business to square your hips up with the board and have your product going from bottom left to top right. Do they see my hand? Okay. So the blade should be going from bottom right to top left, and the product should be going from bottom left to top right. And what that prevents is because everyone wants to square it up like this, but then you notice, well, start down here. When you get to the end, you start doing this thing. If your product's laying this way, you don't do it. For whatever reason, you can just move this easier than you can this. But I work at a beautiful place, and it's so nice we got a doctor that walks around and tells us, don't stand like that. So the doctor's telling us now not to stand like that. In La Quinta. So what they want you to do now is put one leg behind the other. Doesn't matter, whatever feels better for you. So stand in front of the board, and I think it's called splitting your hips. You just want to stand just a little off. It's supposed to take pressure off your back and not make you realize you're going to be at the board for the next hour making a dinner from scratch. So, or 3 hours, however long it takes you. However long it takes you. So we have our potato poached in the solution. You know what that is. We have our scallop, foot soft, saved if we got a bunch and we want to do something with it later. We got our knife that we're holding the right way. We're standing in front of the cutting board. Our hips are split. We're ready to slice. So carefully, gently, please pick up the knife. Grab this. Let me see. Okay, there it is. I got to point this one out. You guys shouldn't be cutting yourself. You're doing it perfect. I just want to make sure that they can see it. So here's my fingers. How can they see this? Boy, good thing this isn't a gas range. Can you guys see my fingers? This part of your index finger, just above that first little digit, I'm sorry, I know a lot about a scallop. I don't know anything about my fingers, but just above the nail, that little part of your finger, that needs to be perfectly perpendicular with the board. Just like that. So you should be feeling the what would this be? The wall of the blade sliding up and down. It should never go up past that and be angled in. It can be angled as far away as you want, but you should only be feeling that, and you shouldn't be raising past it. So you did that right away naturally. Thank you, but maybe they're not. So I just want to make sure I point it out. It's a lot of little things that if you do them, making yourself this meal doesn't seem like such a headache, but if you don't do these little things, then at the end of it, you're like, that's why I don't cook. It's so stupid. I cut myself. My back hurts. So don't cut yourself. Stand the right way, and let's go. As thin as possible. Yeah. I usually get about 6 out of there. Oh, you're going to get like 8. Don't show off. Don't get more than 6. 5. I want 5 slices. You're fine. Wow. That's paper thin. That's absolutely beautiful. Okay. Give me one more, then I'll cut and you build. So all we're doing is assembling the layers. If this was a traditional MILLE FEUILLE, this would be flour and this would be fat. And we would put it in the oven, and the application of heat causes steam in the butter and a separation of the layers. That's how you get the flaky pastry. So if you got a beautiful flaky pastry dough and you're putting it in the oven and it's not separating, your oven was down too low. You need to turn your temp up. It needs to go in a hot oven. It needs fat to turn to steam. There's not much water in fat. Most butter's 85% fat, 15% water. That's not a very big ratio, so you need to hurry up and get that fat hot to, I almost said piss off the water, to disturb the water enough to make it rise. So, oh, I'm sorry, this side, Christy. So I'm going to finish slicing these scallops, and all you're going to do is layer them in between the potato like that. So just go ahead and layer them. Yeah, just lengthwise right down it. And you're going to end up cutting this. This isn't something that you would serve somebody for an entree. This is like a cocktail party or something that you could pass around, or at the at your little end table that has the cheese and crackers. You want to put something out there that'll get somebody to wonder, where the hell did you go? Where'd you learn this one at? So you'd go ahead and just layer them just across that. Excuse me. Yeah, too small. You want to get big, long ones just like that. Perfect. Just cover it as much as you can. One more right on top. Maybe you're thinking, doesn't it need... No, one more right on top, sweet potato. Maybe you're thinking, oh, doesn't it need salt, pepper, something like that? Not at all. The scallop naturally is sweet enough to where it's bringing plenty to the table. Plus, if you notice the ratio that you're going to poach the sweet potato in, 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, that's got action in it. That's strong. Plus, with the sugar and the 2-finger pinch of salt, It'll have plenty of flavor. Maybe when you get down to the end of this, so you don't feel too comfortable grabbing it because it's not that firm, lay it down, put just a little pressure on it, and slice. Oh, one more little thing about a knife. It needs to be sharp. Every time I go over to my parents' house to cook, my dad's knife is so dull. And he's sitting there, cutting stuff. And I think, you wonder why you don't like doing this. Get your knife a little bit sharper. And I'd look for a knife sharpener online or in the phone book. Or if you don't have one, maybe you live in a small town. Most people that do keys also do knives. Perfect. Or Ronin Edge in the desert. Good shout out. I have some of his knives. Guy, G-U-Y, Guy Ronin. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah. Big beard. DJ's got a better beard, but yeah, he's all right. He's cool. It's a decent beard. Beards get respect in the kitchen. I don't know why, but they do. If I could grow one, I would. MILLE FEUILLE, how simple was that? We peeled a potato, we sliced it, we poached it in a solution of simple, readily available things that you can get from Walmart. Hopefully not. Go to your higher-end purveyors and get that. I hate when I think sometimes that it's inaccessibility that has to do with poor execution on a recipe, especially if you live somewhere where there's a lot of grocers or places to go get stuff. So this was super easy to build, and this is the principal component of the dish. So we're just about there. Oh, my God, they're moving along so fast. They're going on plating right now. Let's go ahead and verbal this. I don't want to cook. I'd rather ask questions. I feel like there's more times that people have questions than actual care or concern for a scallop MILLE FEUILLE. Maybe someone can't figure out why their steak sticks in a pan or whatever issues we're having. I'd like to take a minute if we can address anything like that. Vicky's okay? She in the weeds over there? DJ, bail her out of the weeds. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pardon the informality here, but I'm not that hot, but I think just the fact that I'm in the kitchen, I'm used to moving around more. I think my heart rate's up even though my body movement isn't there. What that is, unfortunately, is the person you're purchasing your scallops from. A specification that has to get made when purchasing scallop is dry packed. What that means is once out of the shell and removed from the organs, it's put in there literally dry just after it's been like hosed off to get rid of the debris or any of the sand that might have been in there. Unfortunately, what happens with a lot of seafood purveyors is they put a solution in it. And what that does is it extends the shelf life. It increases durability during shipping. It can even make uniformity appear to be there. I think they let the little ones soak up more, and then they put them in with the big ones, and then they're like, look how uniform these are. Dry packed scallop. That's what you got to get. Or else no amount of blotting it, or maybe that's about all you could really try to do, but you can't. It's on such a small level, not to waste your... Absolutely. Yeah, you really can't pull that out. It's on such a small level that protein itself has actually sucked stuff up, so you can't wring it out. It's not free. It's bound inside of there. So I'm sorry to hear you're running into those. Contact your fishmonger and let him know that you're having that issue. And if he says there's nothing you can do, just ask for a dry packed scallop. That'd be the best. Dry packed scallop. Oh, absolutely, sir. Thank you. She said that she has an issue when she gets her scallops and she cooks them, that they're letting out too much water and shrinking. And the biggest headache you get with that is the water that it starts to let out brings down the temperature of your pan. So you lose that brown. You don't get that sear. You think you're getting it. It's starting to brown, and then here comes all this water, and it washes it away. It's like it deglazes the... Yeah. Yeah, so, but one issue with that might also be is you need to make sure your pan's hot enough. When you put your pan down and you put your fat in it, how do you know when it's hot enough? What kind of smoke are we talking about? Just barely, yeah. And maybe even before the smoke, you see a shimmer or just a slight little bit of movement across the surface of the pan. That's another good indicator that you're ready. Let's see. So we have our MILLE FEUILLE done. The next on the recipe card. I'm not sure if I have the same recipe card as you. What's the next item? Can somebody tell me that after my first item was the scallop MILLE FEUILLE. Where's the sweet potato? What's after that? A mostarda or a caviar? Mostarda? Oh, thank you. Okay, beautiful. Same one. Hazelnut mostarda. Hopefully no nut allergies, because the nut component is really essential to this dish. We're not cooking the scallops, so we're not really developing any deep flavor in it. You know, when you brown things, you really start to wake up the flavor. So you need a nut. You need to roast it. Any nut would be fine. We prefer hazelnut. So you take the hazelnut or filbert, depending on how they're sold, where you're at, and you go ahead, and if they got that brown skin on them, you can just put them in between a towel and roll it around, and they'll come off. Take them, throw them in your Roboku, and grind them up until they're yay size. You want to have big enough for a crunch, so some of them are half size, you're fine. Try to stay away from the powder, because the powder, once we go ahead and incorporate with the rest, it's going to become real mealy, and this isn't supposed to be mealy or pasty. It needs to be crunchy and somewhat chunky. So just as the directions say, let's see, what could we run into trouble here? Everyone here knows how to chop a shallot. Everyone here should know how to toast a hazelnut. Can anyone see themselves having an issue toasting a hazelnut? Temperature could be 350. It's going to be for a longer time, maybe 12 to 15 minutes. Temperature could be 4 1/4. It's going to be for a shorter time. One thing with regards to time and temperature, I have a headache with this even in the restaurant. When you guys put something in the oven, everyone knows the oven doesn't cook evenly. So you pull it out, and you see all this beautiful brown right here, completely undercooked, and then maybe overcooked in the corner. No oven applies the heat evenly. The way you get out of that is you got to rotate it halfway. And I know a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I do that, but for some reason it doesn't work perfect. Well, when it's not working perfect, I bet what's going on is you have multiple sheet pans in your oven. If you have rack space for multiple sheet pans and you're cooking things and they're not browning evenly, it's not enough to just turn them around. That oven isn't just browning unevenly front to back. It's browning unevenly top to bottom. So the whole thing, what you need to do is you need to become the mechanism that turns it into a rotisserie unit. So halfway through, the top one needs the back to come to the front, but it also needs to go to the bottom. Is this a headache? Yeah, it's a headache to pull out the sheet pans and to turn this one around and put it in the bottom and turn this one around and put it in the top. But if you want good food and you want good results, well, then you're going to have to do extra little steps like that. Or throw the nuts in the oven and cross your fingers, and the front half will be nice and brown, and the middle will be undercooked, and the back will be burnt. Just take the time, spin it, put it down, you'll be fine. Hazelnut oil, this is the one we use, very high-end, very expensive product. You're going to spend 50 to 80 bucks on a bottle this big. But again, who are you doing this for, and what date is it? It's probably a special event for a special someone's. Roger. So go ahead and get a good hazelnut oil. Pan down. Taste. This does not get hot. Great point. Thanks for mentioning that. Any little oils we get, nut oils, any higher end oils, it's not a neutral oil like a vegetable oil, canola oil, shouldn't really get much of a heat application on it, because once you get it hot, you're going to lose what you just paid for, those flavor compounds. They're incredibly heat sensitive is what it is. That's another point. You walk in someone's house and they're cooking and you go, oh, it smells great in here. That's actually a bad thing. That flavor's now in the air. It's not in the pot anymore. Put a lid on it. Lower the heat. Check yourself with regards to the method of incorporation. That fresh herb shouldn't have went in there first thing. It should have went in there at the end. So, I mean, be careful. I mean, honestly, if it seems too easy, you might not be thinking enough about it. And I hope this is your Monday through Friday meal. But that's not the meal I'm trying to get you to do right now. I'm trying to get you to do the anniversary, the special celebration, the welcome back from your, whatever thing. So rotate the sheet pans. Don't worry about being on the board for an hour. Stand right. Hold the knife right. It'll be worth it. Mostarda, so simple. You got your shallots. Chop them up to the same size as this so it all looks nice and uniform. Pan down, neutral oil, saute the shallot. Push the heat through till the shallot is soft. If it browns, beautiful. Now you got another sweet element to it. Put in your toasted hazelnut. Finish with the hazelnut oil. Finish with the balsamic vinegar. Finish means at the end, no heat, in a bowl. So after you have your nuts that are toasted in there, you'll see the directions. You'll be able to follow them perfect. Chive oil. DJ, you said, what do we got, like 3 minutes, 2 minutes? I don't think we're going to get to demo the chive oil. There's so many things to this. The directions are written out perfect for you to read it out. The chive oil, make the chive oil as it says. Don't do this recipe where you just throw the herbs in the blender with the neutral oil, turn it on, and then you put it in a squeeze bottle and you say it's chive oil. I mean, sure, that is a chive oil, but it's also going to lose a lot of action to it, and it's not going to have much flavor development. You see how thick this oil is, and you see how it's free of debris? all you do is whatever your herb is, unless it's a big leafy one. The big leafy ones, you got to poach in the water. You poach them in the water, you take them out, you shock them in ice water, put them in a towel, wring them out, because we don't want water in here. Anything other than that, just get it, put it in the blender, turn the blender on, get a screaming hot dry pan. Dry means nothing in it. Pour that oil that has whatever your key component is, suspended and blended in it, and put it in there. All you're looking to do is drive moisture out, increase heat, which is going to develop flavor. So that's it. So go, I mean, you can do the real quick chive oil and strain it. No, just get a pan, get it screaming, dump it in. You'll know the water's gone when the activity starts to subside. Everyone's throwing something in a fryer, and you see the bubbles go nuts and the steam come out. Once the steam isn't coming out anymore and the bubbles aren't going crazy, you've pushed the water out, you're fine. Get one of these fancy chinois or some cheesecloth. I can't find mine. Something like this will do. Anything. Coffee filter if you got it. We got a nice one somewhere. I was going to show it off. But it's not made by Monogram, so forget them. Strain it out. It's going to take a while. It'll help if while you're straining it, you hurry up and get that temperature down. How do you get the temperature down? Make sure that what it's straining into is sitting in an ice bucket. It'll cool down real quick. That'll help preserve some of the flavor. Mustard caviar. This one is so simple and it tastes so good. You guys can get yellow and brown mustard seeds at any grocer. You bring them to a boil in a simple vinegar, as the recipe describes. All you got to do is about 2 minutes in, start tasting them because you still want that pop. After that, you're done. It cools down, and we plate. You'll see these plating, smoked paprika. We put ours in a little bit of cheesecloth. Just put it in a little bit of cheesecloth, hold it up, bang, bang. It's nice. It doesn't just look good. It is appropriate for the dish. Edible flower. My dad's growing a bunch right now. He literally went online, Googled edible flower, and he's got a whole flower bed. He lives in Cathedral City, and they're doing incredible right now. So edible flower, yard out on that, whatever you guys want to do. Micro celery. This could be any small herb, just something to give a nice little light note to it. Real quick, does anybody have any questions? I know you guys aren't going to have a headache with this. If you can read and you can follow directions, this is going to be fine. I want you to just look at if you guys just look at the dishes that you're going to get in front of you, and look at the recipe card while you eat it. Picture yourself making it, and that's what you want. That's what you need to finish with. I'm sorry I didn't get to cook too many things. There was just a lot of stuff I really wanted to talk about in this. So, right behind. But if we can thank our volunteers, Christy, Vicky, and I'm sorry, what was your name again? Terry. Thank you so much, Terry, for all your help. And if the plating looks like it's too complicated, don't give me that. I just had 3 guests plate this, and they don't work in the business. So as good as this dish looks, you guys should be able to execute that because they could. Thank you very much for having us.